The old German shepherd lay curled in the corner of his kennel, a heavy sigh escaping his worn lungs. His muzzle, once a sharp, commanding black, was now dusted with gray, and his once bright eyes held a profound sadness that seemed to mirror the dim, sterile light of the animal shelter. Each breath was an effort, each movement a silent negotiation with his aching joints. He wasn't just any dog. He was Rex, a K9 unit, a hero in his own right, now facing an uncertain and bleak future. A stark, somber truth hung in the air around him, a fate whispered in hushed tones among the staff, a finality he seemed to instinctively understand. The title text overlay appeared. This police dog was about to be euthanized until a girl asked to say goodbye. Rex had once been the vibrant heart of the small, unassuming police department in Harmony Creek, a town nestled quietly in the heart of the American Midwest. A magnificent German shepherd, he had embodied everything a K9 officer should be: fearless, intelligent, and fiercely loyal. For almost a decade, Rex had served the community with unwavering dedication, his powerful frame and keen senses a formidable force against crime. He wasn't just a patrol dog. He was a tracker who'd found lost children in dense woods, a deterrent that had diffused countless volatile situations, and a protector who'd stood bravely beside his human partner through thick and thin. His handler, Officer David Thompson, had been Rex's other half. They were an inseparable duo, a bond forged in the crucible of duty and deepened by an unspoken understanding that transcended species. Thompson, a man of quiet strength and unwavering integrity, had hand-reared Rex from a rambunctious puppy, training him with patience and instilling in him the discipline that made him such an effective officer. Their partnership was legendary within the department, their successes many, their trust absolute. Rex had saved Thompson's life more times than either of them could count, and Thompson, in turn, had been Rex's steadfast companion, his provider, and his best friend. But time, an unrelenting adversary, had begun to take its toll. Rex was old by K9 standards, a senior citizen in the prime of his working life, now a fading memory. The once effortless leaps over obstacles were now painful, hesitant steps. His powerful bark, once a resounding echo of authority, was now a gravelly cough. His acute sense of smell, his most valuable tool, had dulled, no longer picking up the faint traces of a suspect or a hidden narcotic as quickly as it once had. During recent training exercises, he struggled. Simple drills became arduous tasks, his body refusing to obey the commands his mind still understood. He would falter, his legs giving out, a whimper escaping him despite his inherent stoicism. The inevitable decision came swiftly, though not without heavy hearts. The department's K9 coordinator, after consulting with the vet and observing Rex's declining performance, concluded that Rex was no longer fit for active duty. His retirement was mandatory, but due to his advanced age, his growing medical needs, and the financial strain of long-term care for a retired police dog, the most practical, albeit heartbreaking option presented itself: euthanasia. The department, facing budget constraints and lacking the resources for extensive K9 retirement programs, saw it as a reluctant necessity. Rex, the brave hero of Harmony Creek, was deemed too old, too sick, too burdensome to simply live out his remaining days peacefully. His final assignment was to face oblivion. For more stories that will touch your heart and inspire hope, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Officer Thompson felt a cold dread settle deep in his stomach as the department's decision solidified. Rex, his partner, his shadow for years, was being discarded, The official line was clear, delivered with bureaucratic detachment. Rex was no longer fit for duty, and with his age and medical needs, euthanasia was the most practical, humane option. Thompson argued, pleaded, his voice hoarse with desperation. He spoke of Rex's unwavering loyalty, his countless rescues, the lives he had saved. He pulled every string he could, contacting colleagues in other precincts, reaching out to veterinarians he knew, hoping someone, anyone, would see a different path. But the answers were always the same, tinged with regret but firm. Retired canines were a significant financial and logistical burden. The department simply didn't have the resources to maintain a sanctuary for their aging heroes. Each conversation was a dead end, each sympathetic nod a confirmation of Rex's impending fate. The weight of responsibility, of failing his old friend, pressed down on him, suffocating him. Amidst this growing despair, a beacon of pure, innocent joy existed in Thompson's life. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily adored Rex. For her, he wasn't just a police dog. He was family. Ever since she was a toddler, Rex had been a fixture, a giant, gentle presence. She'd visit him at the station whenever her father was on duty, bringing him special treats, giggling as Rex nudged her hand for more ear scratches. She'd spend hours drawing pictures of him, heroic scenes where Rex caught the bad guys or found lost children. In her eyes, Rex was perfect, an indestructible guardian angel with a wagging tail. She saw past the graying muzzle, past the slight stiffness in his gait, to the kind, intelligent eyes that always held a spark of warmth just for her. For Lily, Rex wasn't a police dog with a career. He was simply Rex, her best friend, a furry confidant who listened without judgment and offered silent, comforting companionship. The calendar on Thompson's kitchen wall, usually a benign tool for scheduling, now loomed like a death sentence. A date, circled in red by the department, marked the day Rex would be put down. Thompson rehearsed the words in his head 100 times, trying to find a way to soften the blow for Lily. How do you tell an 8-year-old that her hero, her best friend, is about to be taken away forever? The evening he finally sat her down, the words caught in his throat, each one a sharp blade. Lily's bright smile slowly faded as he spoke, replaced by confusion, then disbelief, and finally, a raw, crushing heartbreak that mirrored his own. Her eyes, usually so full of laughter, welled up with tears that spilled freely down her cheeks. "No," she whispered, her voice trembling. "No, Daddy, they can't. Rex is good. He's the best dog ever." She refused to accept it, her small hands clenching into fists, her whole being radiating defiance against a world that could be so cruel. The news shattered her world, leaving her inconsolable, and Thompson, watching his daughter's grief, felt an even deeper ache, a powerless rage against the system. He had underestimated the depth of her bond with Rex, and now he was faced with the impossible task of explaining an adult decision that made no sense to a child's loving heart. Lily, with the unwavering conviction only an 8-year-old possesses, refused to accept the word final. Her small face, usually bright with uncontainable joy, was now streaked with silent tears, her brow furrowed in a surprisingly mature expression of distress. She clung to her father's leg, her voice barely a whisper, but firm in its demand. "I need to say goodbye properly, Daddy. Rex wouldn't understand if I didn't." It wasn't just a simple farewell she sought. It was a desperate plea for recognition, a child's instinctive belief that if she could just explain, if she could just make them see, the outcome would change. She truly believed she could somehow talk sense into the chief, or anyone who would listen, and convince them to reconsider Rex's fate. Her logic was simple. Rex was good, he was kind, and he had saved people. How could they just give up on him? Officer Thompson knelt, his heart aching with every word as he tried to temper her boundless hope. He gently stroked her hair, his own eyes heavy with a battle he had already lost. "Sweetheart, I know how much you love Rex, and he loves you too. But the decision, it's been made. It's not about how much we love him. It's about their rules and what's best for Rex, even if it doesn't feel like it right now." He tried to explain the complexities of police procedures, the department's budget, and the difficult choices made when a service animal could no longer perform its duties. He spoke of Rex's pain, his aging body, hoping to frame euthanasia not as an abandonment, but as a release from suffering. But his words, carefully chosen and heartfelt, seemed to bounce off the impenetrable shield of Lily's childish optimism. To her, it sounded like excuses, like grown-ups giving up. Later that afternoon, a nervous Officer Thompson brought Lily to the chief's office. Chief Miller, a man of stern demeanor but with a surprising softness around the eyes, listened patiently as Lily, wiping away fresh tears, made her impassioned case. She spoke of Rex's bravery during a recent search and rescue mission, how he found a lost hiker in the woods. She recalled the time Rex gently nudged her hand when she was sad, sensing her unspoken feelings. "He's not just a dog, Chief Miller," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "He's family, and he's a hero. You can't just throw away a hero." Chief Miller, visibly moved, reiterated the department's unwavering policy, the finite resources, and the difficult, often impersonal decisions that had to be made. He explained that a K-9 unit was not a pet, but a highly trained tool, and when that tool was no longer effective, difficult calls had to be made for the safety of both the dog and the officers. He praised Rex's service, assuring Lily that it was an honorable retirement, not an abandonment. But the cold logic of policy did little to soothe Lily's burning sense of injustice. Despite the adults' explanations and their seemingly insurmountable obstacles, Lily's resolve only hardened. The finality of their words sparked something fierce within her. If they wouldn't listen, she would make them listen. She started her own One Girl, Save Rex campaign, beginning with the tools closest at hand. Her room became a war room of sorts. Crayons and markers covered her desk as she meticulously drew pictures of Rex in his prime, leaping hurdles, sniffing out clues, always with Officer Thompson by his side. Each drawing was accompanied by simple, heartfelt captions. "Rex is a good boy. Don't hurt Rex. Heroes deserve to rest, not disappear." She then penned letters, scrawled in her careful but still slightly wobbly handwriting, addressed to the chief, the mayor, and even anyone who can help. These initial artistic endeavors and desperate correspondences were first shared with her immediate family and her closest friends from school. A small, hopeful ripple in a sea of despair. She was determined to make sure Rex's story and his looming fate would not be ignored. Lily's small campaign, initially confined to her home and school circle, soon began to gain unexpected traction. Her heartfelt letters, adorned with crayon drawings of Rex's brave deeds and loyal companionship, resonated deeply with the local community. Word of her unwavering dedication to her four-legged hero spread like wildfire, carried by the unique power of a child's pure conviction. Parents at her school, moved by the plight of the old police dog and the determination of a young girl, shared Lily's story with their neighbors and friends. Some of her classmates, inspired by her passion, even started making their own drawings, little tributes to the dog they had only seen in pictures, but now felt fiercely protective of. The message was simple, yet profound. Rex, a dedicated public servant, deserved more than a quiet, undignified end. He deserved honor and a chance at a peaceful retirement. One afternoon, a local journalist named Sarah Jenkins, who often covered community events and human interest stories for the town's weekly gazette, the Harmony Herald, received a tip from a sympathetic schoolteacher. The teacher had seen Lily's drawings and read her earnest letters, feeling compelled to share the story. Intrigued by the unusual appeal and the raw emotion behind it, Sarah decided to investigate. She visited Lily's family, listening patiently as Lily, with wide, earnest eyes, recounted Rex's bravery and the profound bond they shared. Sarah was struck not just by the child's eloquence, but by the quiet despair in Officer Thompson's voice as he spoke of his K-9 partner. The journalist recognized a powerful story, one that transcended local politics and touched upon universal themes of loyalty, service, and compassion. The following week, the Harmony Herald ran a feature article titled, "A Hero's Plea: 8-year-old Fights for Retired K-9 Rex." The piece was prominently displayed on the front page, accompanied by a touching photograph of Rex, looking noble yet undeniably aged, with Lily's small hand gently resting on his head. The article meticulously detailed Rex's decorated career, highlighting his significant contributions to the community, from locating missing persons to assisting in the apprehension of dangerous criminals. It also powerfully conveyed Lily's unwavering love and her desperate campaign to save her friend from what she perceived as an unjust fate. The journalist, with careful wording, managed to illuminate the police department's difficult position without demonizing them, instead focusing on the larger narrative of an aging hero and a child's pure heart. The impact of the article was immediate and overwhelming. The Harmony Herald, usually a quiet paper read primarily for local announcements, suddenly found itself fielding an unprecedented volume of calls and emails. The community, once largely unaware of Rex's imminent euthanasia, now rallied in his defense. Phones at the police department began ringing off the hook, not with crime reports, but with impassioned pleas from concerned citizens. People wanted to know how they could help. They offered financial assistance, veterinary care, and even expressed interest in adopting Rex themselves, completely unaware of the strict protocols surrounding retired police dogs. Messages flooded the department's social media pages, sharing the article and expressing outrage, sympathy, and a collective desire to intervene. Many callers shared their own poignant stories about the profound impact of police K-9s, recounting tales of loyal service, bravery, and the unique bond these animals form with their human partners. Some remembered specific incidents where Rex had played a crucial role, while others simply felt a deep connection to the idea of a hero being discarded. The public outcry was not just a passing sentiment, it was a powerful wave of collective empathy that washed over the town, forcing the police department to take notice. What had started as a child's desperate whisper had quickly amplified into a resounding community roar, demanding justice and compassion for a forgotten hero. The department, accustomed to dealing with official reports and procedural matters, was suddenly faced with a deeply emotional, highly public debate, driven by a little girl's love and a journalist's pen. The police department, a bastion of calm and order, found itself unexpectedly reeling. What had begun as a localized, albeit emotional, internal matter concerning an aging K-9 and a child's plea had rapidly transformed into a public relations firestorm. The phone lines, usually reserved for emergencies and routine inquiries, now rang incessantly with calls from concerned citizens, animal rights activists, and even distant media outlets. Each call was a fresh wave of pressure, demanding answers, expressing outrage, and unequivocally siding with the determined little girl and the heroic German shepherd. Emails flooded inboxes, social media feeds exploded with Uringer Save Rex hashtags, and local news vans, once a rare sight outside the station, now parked conspicuously across the street, their cameras poised for any development. The chief and his command staff, who had initially dismissed Lily's efforts as a sweet but ultimately inconsequential childish protest, were now forced to confront the undeniable power of community engagement. The carefully constructed walls of policy and procedure, designed to streamline difficult decisions, were beginning to crumble under the relentless onslaught of public opinion. What had been a straightforward, albeit regrettable, administrative choice now carried the weight of a potential public relations disaster. The chief convened an emergency meeting, his face a mask of weary frustration. The debate within the hallowed halls of the police station was intense, oscillating between the rigid adherence to protocol and the increasingly undeniable need for flexibility. Some senior officers argued vehemently that bending to public pressure would set a dangerous precedent, undermining the department's authority and creating unrealistic expectations for every retired service animal. They emphasized the financial strain, the limited resources, and the cold, hard logic that underpinned the initial decision. A police K-9, they argued, was a working asset, not a family pet, and difficult choices were inherent in their operational lifespan. However, a growing faction, including several younger officers and even some seasoned veterans, began to voice a different perspective. They pointed to the overwhelming outpouring of support, the genuine concern expressed by taxpayers, and the potential for irreparable damage to the department's image if they remained inflexible. This wasn't just about Rex anymore, they observed. It had become a symbol. It was about community trust, about compassion, and about acknowledging the profound bond between service animals and the people they protected. The chief listened, his expression unreadable, as the arguments raged, each side presenting valid points. He understood the practicalities, but could not ignore the raw emotional current flowing through the community. The specter of negative media coverage, of being painted as heartless and bureaucratic, weighed heavily on his mind. Meanwhile, Officer Thompson, witnessing this astonishing shift in public sentiment, felt a cautious, almost fragile flicker of hope ignite within him. For weeks, he had carried the heavy burden of powerlessness, resigned to Rex's tragic fate, his heart aching with each passing day. He had seen the unwavering sadness in Rex's eyes, the quiet resignation, and it had mirrored his own. Now, however, the relentless noise and fervent advocacy from the community, sparked by his daughter's innocent conviction, pierced through the gloom. He saw the signs, the hurried conversations in hallways, the drawn faces of command staff, the subtle shifts in tone from colleagues who now spoke of solutions rather than final decisions. He realized that Lily's small campaign, once just a desperate plea from a child, had become a powerful movement. He observed Lily as she continued to draw her pictures and write her letters, now with an even greater sense of purpose, her small face alight with an unyielding determination. He made sure she had plenty of paper and crayons, discreetly printing out encouraging comments from online forums she couldn't access, fostering her belief that her voice truly mattered. He knew he couldn't openly defy department policy, but he could certainly nurture the fire Lily had lit. He found himself subtly guiding her, suggesting new avenues for her messages, knowing that every letter, every drawing, only added more fuel to the public's growing indignation. He saw that the tide was turning, slowly but surely, and for the first time in a long time, the heavy weight in his chest began to lift, ever so slightly, replaced by a nascent, exhilarating hope that perhaps, just perhaps, Rex might actually be saved. The quiet determination of an 8-year-old girl, coupled with the burgeoning community support, was beginning to shift the bureaucratic gears of the local police department, albeit slowly. Just as the police chief found himself in increasingly frequent and uncomfortable conversations with concerned citizens and local media, a beacon of hope emerged from an unexpected quarter. A local animal rescue organization, renowned for its work with retired service animals and neglected pets, had been following Rex's story with growing interest and profound empathy. Touched beyond measure by Lily's unwavering dedication and Rex's distinguished service, they stepped forward with a tangible proposal for the police department. Their idea was brilliant in its simplicity and powerful in its potential: a joint fundraising effort. This initiative would specifically target the substantial medical expenses Rex would undoubtedly incur during his retirement, given his age and various ailments. Beyond that, the organization offered to vet and secure a suitable, loving retirement home for Rex, ensuring he would spend his golden years in comfort and dignity, far from the sterile environment of a kennel or the finality of a veterinarian's table. The rescue's director, a compassionate woman named Dr. Evelyn Reed, personally met with Chief Miller and Officer Thompson, outlining a comprehensive plan that not only addressed Rex's immediate needs, but also established a framework for his long-term care. This new proposal galvanized the community, with the animal rescue organization providing logistical expertise and a legitimate platform. Lily's grassroots campaign transformed into a coordinated effort. Officer Thompson, now openly supportive and cautiously optimistic, joined forces with Lily and Dr. Reed. Together, they became the public faces of the Save Rex movement. They spent countless hours organizing, planning, and spreading the word. Flyers designed by Lily, now professionalized by the rescue, appeared in every storefront. Social media buzzed with updates, pleas for donations, and heartwarming anecdotes about Rex's past heroics. The police department, under intense public scrutiny, quietly granted their permission for a small public event to be held in the town square. This event was designed not only to raise funds, but also to allow the community to say a proper thank you to Rex. It was a poignant display of gratitude and solidarity. Rex walked slowly by a proud Officer Thompson, made a final public appearance. His movements were stiff, and his muzzle was undeniably gray, but his tail still managed a slow, sweeping wag as he greeted the crowd. Children, including Lily, who never left his side, gently stroked his fur, their small hands finding comfort in his warmth. Adults offered quiet words of thanks, some even shedding a tear as they remembered the loyal K9 who had protected their town for so many years. Rex's gentle nature, even in his advanced age, shone through, melting hearts and inspiring an outpouring of generosity. The sight of the old hero, still noble despite his infirmities, was a powerful reminder of his service and the unjust fate awaiting him. The mounting public pressure, amplified by the emotional success of the town square event and the concrete proposal from the animal rescue, became too significant for the police department to ignore. The initial decision, once deemed final and unalterable, began to waver. Chief Miller, after a tense departmental meeting, made an announcement that sent ripples of hope through the community. Rex's euthanasia would be postponed indefinitely. This was not yet a full reversal, but it was a critical concession, a much-needed reprieve. It offered a crucial window of opportunity, giving the nascent fundraising effort a fighting chance to secure Rex's future and ultimately save his life. The entire town, holding its collective breath, now focused all its energy on this new goal. The momentum carried forward, culminating in a grand fundraising event held in the town's largest park. Banners proclaiming, "Save Rex, a hero's retirement," draped across makeshift stages, and tables laden with homemade baked goods and Rex's paw print merchandise lined the pathways. The air buzzed with anticipation and a shared sense of purpose. As the afternoon sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the gathering crowd, a hush fell over the park. It was time for the central moment, the heartfelt plea that everyone had been waiting for. Lily, clutching a well-worn stuffed German shepherd, walked bravely to the microphone, dwarfed by its stand. Officer Thompson, standing close by, offered a reassuring smile. Her small voice, initially trembling, grew stronger with each word. She spoke not of statistics or policies, but of loyalty, kindness, and the silent understanding she shared with Rex. She recounted playful nuzzles, comforting presence during thunderstorms, and the way Rex would gently nudge her hand for a pat. "Rex isn't just a police dog," she declared, her eyes welling up with unshed tears. "He's family. He saved our town, and now it's our turn to save him." Her plea, pure and untainted by adult cynicism, resonated deeply with every person present, touching hearts and opening wallets. A ripple of applause, followed by sniffles and quiet murmurs of support, swept through the park. The community responded with an overwhelming outpouring of generosity. Local businesses, inspired by Lily's unwavering spirit and Rex's story, set up stalls offering services and goods, with all proceeds dedicated to Rex's fund. Children emptied their piggy banks, their small contributions adding up to a surprising sum. Adults wrote checks, some for significant amounts, driven by empathy and a desire to honor a local hero. But the support wasn't confined to their small town. The local journalist's story had gone viral, propelled by social media shares and picked up by regional news outlets. Donations began pouring in from unexpected corners of the country. Other police departments, touched by the story of a K-9 facing an unjust end and the determination of a little girl, sent contributions, sometimes accompanied by letters of solidarity. Online platforms buzzed with activity as people from all walks of life, moved by the narrative of a loyal companion and a community standing up for what was right, clicked donate. The fundraising goal, initially set at a conservative figure to cover a year of specialized medical care and comfortable living, was not only met but spectacularly exceeded. The final tally, announced by a beaming Dr. Reed, brought tears to many eyes. There was enough money to cover Rex's future medical care for the rest of his life, ensuring he would receive the best possible veterinary attention for his ailing joints and failing senses. Beyond that, the surplus funds provided a substantial cushion for any unforeseen needs, and significantly more than enough to secure a comfortable, loving retirement home where Rex could live out his remaining years in peace and dignity. The turning point had arrived. The community, led by a brave little girl, had not just bought Rex more time, they had guaranteed his future. The threat of euthanasia, once a looming shadow, now receded completely, replaced by a radiant possibility. The question was no longer whether Rex would live, but where and how gloriously he would spend his well-deserved retirement. The police department, which had postponed its final decision, now faced an undeniable mandate from the people it served. The indefinite postponement ignited a new wave of focused determination within the community. Every single person understood the implications. The clock was still ticking, but now it was a countdown to a new beginning, not an end. The fundraising event, energized by this critical reprieve, reached its climax. People flooded the park, drawn by both the story and the palpable sense of hope. Lily, clutching a worn plush toy resembling Rex, stood beside Officer Thompson at the makeshift podium. Her small voice, clear and unwavering, cut through the murmurs of the crowd. She spoke not of statistics or duty, but of loyalty, kindness, and her best friend, Rex. She recounted playful moments, his gentle nudges, and the way his tail would thud against the floor whenever she visited. Her sincerity and pure, childlike love for the old K9 touched every heart present. Many in the crowd openly wept, moved by her innocence and the profound bond she shared with the struggling dog. Donations, both large and small, poured into collection bins, each coin and bill representing a shared belief in the value of a life, especially one so bravely lived. The outpouring of support transcended local boundaries. The story, picked up by national news outlets after the local journalist's initial piece gained traction, resonated deeply with a wider audience. Emails and online donations streamed in from across the country, from fellow K9 handlers, animal lovers, and ordinary citizens inspired by Lily's unwavering spirit. Other police departments, witnessing the community's devotion and Rex's storied past, sent contributions, a gesture of solidarity and respect for a fellow service animal. The local funds, initially a modest goal, quickly swelled, then burst past all expectations. The target amount, calculated to cover Rex's extensive medical needs for the remainder of his life, was not just met. It was significantly exceeded. There was now more than enough money to ensure Rex would live out his days in comfort, free from pain and want. This undeniable wave of public sentiment and financial security presented the police department with an irrefutable argument. Chief Miller, convening a final meeting with his senior staff, acknowledged the overwhelming mandate from the community. The decision, once a bureaucratic necessity, was now overwhelmingly unpopular and, more importantly, unnecessary. With immense relief, the department officially reversed its former stance. Rex was honorably retired, his years of loyal service celebrated, not curtailed. The formal adoption process was swiftly completed, and Rex, finally and truly, became a full-fledged member of Officer Thompson's family. The old K9, his spirit seemingly renewed by the outpouring of love, settled into his new home with a quiet dignity. His days were now filled with gentle walks, sun-drenched naps in the backyard, and endless, patient companionship with Lily. She was his shadow, his confidant, and his best friend, just as he had always been hers. Seeing them together, Rex, with his graying muzzle and slow, deliberate gait, and Lily, her bright eyes fixed on him, was a testament to the profound power of unconditional love. The excess funds raised, a remarkable sum, became the foundation of a K9 retirement fund, a perpetual trust dedicated to providing for other police service dogs in their twilight years, ensuring that no other heroic animal would face a similar predicament. Rex's story, a journey from the brink of oblivion to a peaceful, loving retirement, became a beacon of hope, illustrating how the simple, unyielding love of one small girl, amplified by a compassionate community, could indeed change a life, and in doing so, inspire countless others. The old hero, his tail a gentle rhythm against the warm earth, had found his ultimate reward, a lifetime of love.